All right, my Gator folks, we're going to talk some fall camp, talk some Gators football. Billy Napier's talked a lot this last week. We're wrapping up fall camp. We are now in Utah, game one prep week, which is super exciting. This is week 0 this weekend. There will be college football games on. I know we're not Knoll fans, but the Knolls might lose to Donetsk this weekend, so let's hope for that.
Turn right onto Fort Basin Road.
There's a lot of games on. Nevada is playing. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but there's a lot of week 0 games. Nebraska Northwestern plays this weekend, so y'all check all that out. Billy, talked the other day about how this team has like their 1s and 1.5 depth. They don't have a lot of 2s. There's a lot of competition. A lot of young guys are going to play this year. I really believe you're going to see a lot of kids from that transition class that was only 17th, but Billy's got an eye for talent, obviously. Very good evaluator. Caleb Douglas' name was brought up as a guy who's going to be on the field and get reps at receiver, which is a little – it's concerning, but I trust Billy that these kids they're progressing faster than they probably normally would. They're probably having to, progress and develop faster than they should have to. But Caleb Douglas will be on the field. Trevor Etienne has basically stole the show at running back. He's basically 1A, 1B right now with Naquan Wright. I'm not super excited about that fact. I'm excited about the Etienne part of it, not so much Naquan Wright. I just never really thought he was that great of a running back. He's been here long enough. He's never really been super explosive or a big playmaker. He's a steady, reliable back, does his job, very good pass catcher out of the backfield. So look for those 2 guys. I believe you'll see all 4 get reps and play. I think they're going to do that and kind of divvy that down, or you narrow it down to a 3-headed monster, and then that 4th guy is probably going to end up transferring out. Right now, sad to say, I really was hoping he would be one of our starters with Montrell Johnson, Lorenzo Lingard. I love the kid. I hope he gets a chance to prove it on the field, at least given the opportunity. But right now, apparently, Lorenzo Lingard is 4th on the depth chart, and Trevor Etienne's come in. He's got the genes. He's a thoroughbred, with his brother Trevor Etienne. So I think that's where we're at with running back. Quarterback, we're an injury away from being a 4-win team, possibly, maybe worse. It's bad. Our floor is probably 4 wins. But we literally, Jack Miller's not going to be back till week 3 at best with the thumb surgery he had. And he's the only guy that could probably guide us to maybe 1 or 2 wins in some lesser opponent games. The other 2 guys, you got Kidna, who's getting beat out by a walk-on. And Kidna's got the genes too, with his dad being an NFL quarterback, being a smart kid between the ears. But Engel, the kid out of St. Thomas Aquinas, stud, just a walk-on who earned a scholarship spring and summer. He's come in really smart. He knows the playbook. He does his job. He's only 5'10", 190 pounds. He's basically Stetson Bennett back there. But man, with the talent that Georgia has, that works. At Florida, you're looking at Skylar Morningwig. We're going to be atrocious. So if he has to go in, our backup will be Engel. It will not be Kidna. They will put Engel in the game. In practices, I heard from a very reputable source who actually got to watch the entire practice, not just the 14 minutes that the media that doesn't matter gets, but this guy's actually got connections and friends in the program. He watched the entirety of practice and said that Engel was actually more accurate of a passer than even Richardson. Richardson's just got the ceiling and the raw talent. He gets the ball on the body, but a lot of times it's a little bit behind or on the back shoulder. That's something that Richardson's really going to have to improve on. He's still really not quite where he needs to be with accuracy yet. He's going to throw some picks, y'all. Don't go out there and thinking he's only going to throw 3 or 4 picks a year. I think it's going to be closer to the 9, probably about, I'm going to go 9 picks this year for Richardson. I think that's a good, fair number, which isn't terrible. It's not atrocious, especially if he throws, 22-plus touchdowns, which I think he's going to be up around 25. So that's not going to be too bad. Offensive line, Austin Barber's name's been brought up a lot. He's a starter, basically. If anybody goes down, he's as good as the starter in front of him. That was Napier's words. Tyreek Sapp, Justice Boone. He's really impressive. Yuma Million, he's crushing it. He's a starter, basically, a rotational starter. Tyreek Sapp's going to play big minutes. Christian McClellan's going to play big minutes. We're super thin on that defensive line. An opposing SEC coach basically said that Utah will gash our defensive line. I'm not necessarily going to totally disagree with that. I mean, I think game one, I don't see it. We're going to be full strength and healthy. I don't believe we're going to get gashed against Utah, who on paper is a much lesser talented team. I do pick Florida to win this game. Utah's traveling all the way across the country, jet lag. They're going to be exhausted mentally, physically, I believe. They're playing in front of 90,000 fans in the swamp, sold out. It's going to be loud. They're not even going to be able to hear, period, what's going on. Florida's going to have a massive advantage, just like that Auburn game. And I believe that's going to be enough. If you add that with the humidity, those guys are going to be cramping up like crazy, guys. They don't stand a chance against Florida. I'm sorry. I'm sure it'll be a close game. I mean, Utah's going to come in. They're talented. They've got returners, experienced quarterback. You can't discount what they did. I mean, they traveled for their bowl game against Ohio State and hung with them, put up massive offense. But again, they did that out west. That was in the Sugar Bowl. It's catered to those teams like that. It's a West Coast team. Ohio State's Midwest, so that was probably an adjustment for them too. So, I'm just saying, like, these guys don't know what they're getting into coming to the swamp. They really don't. I think it's going to be a massive boost, confidence, boosting us into the second and third games going into that. That's a nice, niche and feather in Billy's cap if he gets this game. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do think we win. So, as far as more freshmen goes, like I said, Justin Boone off the edge is doing really well in fall camp. The tight ends, you got Zipper doing well. I mean, he's took a massive step forward as far as blocking goes. You're going to see nothing but blocking from these tight ends. You're going to have them in the passing game, but they're going to have a very small role, maybe 200 yards, passing in a season. At best, like I said, I thought that somebody might get 300 and something yards in one of my prior videos at tight end, like Dante Zanders. He's going to be your pass catching guy. But Zip, man, he's really turned it up. He's probably the best blocker at tight end right now on the team. He's an H-back, halfback, fullback, whatever you want to call it. Just a short, stocky receiver. So he'll get the ball in his hands, maybe a few plays as a gadget player, but mostly an inline blocker. You'll see a lot of two tight end sets, a lot of jumbo tight end sets. So he's done really well. Super thin. I mean, the talent's just not great at tight end, so that's got to be recruited over. But offensive line is the strength of this team coming out of fall. Billy feels really good about 6, 7, and 8. Still trying to find that 9th and 10th guy on the offensive line. And like I said, quarterback is just a really scary thing. He says in his press conference he's not going to, put any chains. He's not going to hold, Richardson back, which I think is the way to go. I say go all out, roll the dice, and go for the kill. Go for the win. I'm sure he's going to be restrained in some ways. You're not going to run him on 3rd and 1 when you got 4 legit running backs that can do that. But I would get him on the outside as much as possible. And I think this offense will excel with his legs and the running game. A lot of fake misdirection stuff. He's going to crush it, guys. So defensive side of the ball, Devin Moore's another freshman that's going to get he's going to get snaps this year. He's been a little dinged up. There's been a lot of talk about injuries. There's a lot of injuries in fall camp, a lot of really minor injuries to the point where a lot of people have non-contact jerseys on. I think that's more precautionary. I actually think a little bit of gamesmanship is being played here. I'm not necessarily buying that these are all real, legit injuries, because you got to think the media is there for about 14 minutes of practice. Well, if you're a coach and these reports are everywhere, Billy's got an army. He's got staff that literally lurk message boards, Twitter. They're controlling the narrative. They are controlling the information that's being leaked out to the public. So when the media gets what they see, they report on that, right? I really think when the media walk out of the building and it's a private practice, they're tearing those black jerseys off and they're full go. I think some people are hurt and some aren't, and it's to throw off Utah. I don't necessarily buy it because every time they come out, there's no news about a major injury. It's like, a dinged shoulder, or a minor hammy, something like that. I just don't think they're all hurt. Ethan White's back, and his timeline was supposed to be a few more weeks. He's back full go in practice. So our offensive line's 100%. Braun is our 6th man. He's like our Swiss Army knife. He can go to guard. Both are left or right. Austin Barber can play left or right guard. Guriage left or right. Tarquin left or right. All interchangeable. So we got some nice depth there on the O-line. Running back's deep. Quarterback's not. Receiver is a real sore spot. That's why I said Douglas is going to have to step up. Ricky Pearsall is now back and healthy, 100%, full go at practice. That's going to be our go-to guy this year, I think, to get us some yards after catch and get open for us. But, man, receiver is just really average at best. That's really going to hold, I think, Anthony back some. It's really kind of a disservice to him that, as talented as he is, that he doesn't have like a number one or a real game-breaking receiver like an Antonio Callaway or, like a Kyle Pitts, man. Can you imagine if he had Kyle Pitts on this team for just 1 year? Even with the receivers we got, if you just throw Kyle Pitts in there, I mean, he would put up monster numbers. So I think that's going to kind of hold us back a little bit. Went through the schedule the other day. There's a lot of 50-50 toss-up games, guys. I mean, just a ton of them. But, yeah, so fall camp's going well. Like I said, wrapping it up. Utah coming up. I think one of their players, Jalen Glover, I don't know if y'all remember him. We recruited him a few years ago. He's their running back, so he might be on the field. So there's a lot of chippiness that's going to be in this game. A lot of guys, Jalen Glover wanted to commit to Florida. He wasn't a take for Florida. So that's one of those guys that's got a little chip on his shoulder. So that's going to be kind of fun to watch. There are some storylines there. You got Mohamed Diabate, who transferred to Utah. I hope we light him up and run misdirection. Counter. I hope we run the counter on him 50 times in this game and just, break his ankles, blow him up at the line of scrimmage. I don't see him doing much in this game, guys. I really don't. I have a feeling Diabate is going to get lit up. He ran from competition. Personally, don't even think he would have started on this team with the depth we have at linebacker. Shamar James, I don't know how I left him out. Billy said Shamar James is a number one starter, basically, interchangeable with Miller. I actually think you're going to see Shamar James and Miller on the field at the same time. Miller's even said the kid is incredible. I mean, talk about a top 100 player at a high school. So Shamar has turned some heads, come in day one, basically. I mean, got the athletic ability to start. He's just got to get the game experience and get his assignment football down. But apparently he's been so good that he's jumped over everybody else, including Scooby Williams and Derek Wingo. So it sounds like Shamar James is going to be one of our guys, our dudes on the field. So I'm so impressed, like hearing about that class last year. It just looked okay on paper, but Kamari Wilson in safety, another guy who's probably going to get some playing time. Probably not a lot. I think we're so deep at safety and experience there. I don't see him seeing a lot of playing time, but he'll get in some games, get some game reps, and get some experience. Billy's going to play some true freshmen this year. He's going to reward them for the work they put in, especially against the Eastern Washington and Vanderbilt, teams like that. But, yeah, Trey Dean and Torrance in the back end at safety have done really well. They're healthy. Corner, a little surprise there. Some of the guys, Avery Helm, I think, is a starter, and Jason Marshall. I thought Jalen Kimber, I know he's going to rotate in and out with some guys on that back end right there, but Jalen Kimber and I think Avery Helm are interchangeable. But I thought Kimber would come in and be like the surefire starter, and he hasn't solidified that spot. So there's definitely a lot of competition on this team, according to Billy Napier. He likes where we're at. He said we're progressing at the rate that he expected, that he's hoped for. He's just concerned about the depth, again, at certain spots on the team, D-line and wide receiver. We all know what they are. And I think he's trying to set the expectations for all of us and not get too far ahead of ourselves. I'd like to just run through the schedule real quick. You got Utah, I'm picking a win. Kentucky, I'm picking a win. I picked a loss at Tennessee. That's going to be tough, guys, playing in Knoxville. I know a lot of Gator fans want to pick that game. Eastern Washington's a win. Vanderbilt's a win. LSU, I think, is a winnable game. South Carolina's a winnable game. Missouri, that's a hard one for me, honestly, after the last, several seasons. It's a really tough one to know what's going to happen with that game. Even the South Carolina game is a tough one. After Florida's just lost so many of these games we shouldn't have lost. Florida State's definitely a win. USF's a win. So that's it, guys. But that's it for the day for me. Appreciate y'all watching my channel. Please like and subscribe. We're going to get into some game week stuff, breaking down Utah, making some picks, player of the week. player of the game, stuff like that, make some predictions. So this will be my last fall camp video. Not much going on recruiting. Got a lot of big-time visitors for game 1 in the swamp. A lot of 24 kids. Lagway's coming, 5-star quarterback. I think that's our guy in the next class. Elite talent. I think we're going to land him. I mean, recruiting's on fire. We ain't even got to stress about that. We're going to get our guys. This is going to be almost borderline top 5 class. You guys have a good one. Go Gators.